I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listed Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Man Listed Show. You can subscribe to the show on YouTube, click that bell icon so you can be notified of new shows. Go to our bio on Instagram. You can click the link. You can find our books, our merchandise. You can support the show. And just make sure you tell everybody about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listed Show. I'm your host, Mark B. Let's bring the crew in. Shout out to C. So, hey, man, Kamala picked her VP, Waltz out of Minnesota. And it seems like, you know, he's is it Waltz or Walls? How you say it? I don't know.
It's just a Z. I was about to say, you know, we always adding letters. It's WALZ.
Walls.
Walls, yeah.
To the window, to the wall. You know, black folks don't take that seriously. They
exactly
picture him like high stepping, and they was like to the window, to the walls. Oh my God. Nah, they should have never gave us memes and AI.
Right.
Photoshop. But anyway, so you know, the battle lines are drawn. Both sides picked their VP. The debates are set. And it seems like the Democrats have a lot of momentum going. Obviously, there was a lot of money that was raised for Kamala when she announced that she still hasn't become like the candidate yet. They haven't had the Democratic, you know, national convention yet. So technically, it's still Joe, but Joe said he's not running. And she's picked who her VP is going to be. Do you think they can keep this momentum going into November and carry it on through? Because Trump's out here spiraling, man. This dude out here wild and talking about he had bigger crowds than Martin Luther King had when he gave his "I Have the Dream" speech. And like me and Lav said on the time. Well, I'll speak for myself. I used to think like dude was funny / entertaining, but now it's gotten to the point like where I can't stand him, dog, because it's like he can't. It might have been the best thing that the Democrats have ever done strategically, and I don't think they did it on purpose. But by them putting a Black woman on the ticket, he can't help but to be just indignant and disrespectful. And it's just going to continue to bring out the worst in him, which really doesn't matter for his base. But I'm assuming that if there are some reasonable people left that are like in the fringes, like, you know, independent or whatever, they're gonna like, nah, this ain't it. We can't go with Trump. But what do y'all think? Can they keep the momentum up?
I think they can definitely keep enthusiasm. November's a long time away. You know, you never know what's gonna happen, but I think this surge I think, like you said, it's not necessarily going to be a constant surge, but it's done enough, hopefully, to get some people enthusiastic who are basically going to be apathetic and weren't going to vote. You know, I don't necessarily I think most people are, my mindset, there's nobody that's saying Trump and Kamala, I'm deciding between the two. There's no way. Because there's no one out there like that. It's either I'm voting for this person, I'm voting for this person, or I'm just not going to vote. And so you got to target those people who were not going to vote, I think.
Hey man, you on point with that one right there. Because honestly, if I let you jump in, Erika, I'll speak about my son. He's part of that generation. I don't know what they call it. He's technically Gen Z. He's 21, where, you know, they get a lot of information from TikTok. And it's like, you know, man, they both bad, you know, Trump, Kamala, Biden, they all the same. But with some of the information that came out with that Project 2025, thankfully, I don't know where he got it from, but, you know, that information got to my son, and he was like, wait a minute, they're trying to limit overtime that people can get corporations don't have to give overtime. Wait a minute, y'all gonna give police immunity? Oh no, we can't go for that. Yeah, you're right, Pops. I gotta vote Democrat. So I think you're right, Lab. It's about getting those people out who are apathetic and who are like, it don't matter. That's what the battle is for.
For me, like, I didn't really think that there was going to be too much of an impact in how people voted based on who she chose as VP. But the amount of people who have shown excitement since she picked him as a VP has been like astronomical. My own personal circle, which irritates me, was apathetic to voting and adamant about not voting and not necessarily encouraging my son to not vote, but that conversation was going on. And then to be like, oh, I like Walls. It's like, good, thanks. All votes matter. And then so it's like, I don't know. I think that choice as VP has changed a lot of apathetic people to people who are like, now this is somebody I can relate to. This is somebody I can connect to. It's the same thing on the opposite end of the spectrum that I think Trump did. Trump kind of got those people who were like, the government doesn't care about me on that far end to be like, oh, this person cares about me. I think on the other end of the spectrum, Walls is that person who common people can relate to. He's a school teacher. He was in, a branch of the military. He's got that experience where he's very relatable to the common person. And so those people that are apathetic or on the fence about politicians view him as a common person and feel some sort of connection to him. And I think he's re-energized a section of the population who was not really interested in voting. And like you said, there's no one who was just like, literally, I'm torn between Trump and Kamala. I don't know what to do. But there are people who are just like, my vote doesn't matter. And I think the thing that Walz has done is make people feel like, oh, well, I like him. Maybe my vote does matter again. And so I think that he has brought that energy back to the population. And I think that's the importance of him as a pick. And I didn't even know of him prior to her picking him, but I think that pick, once I researched him, I was like, oh, it was somebody, I saw somebody said she was playing chess, not checkers. And I was like, prove it. And then I went and looked him up and I was like, yes, I agree. But yeah, that re-energized the population of people who was not interested in voting at all. And I think that's what's going to change the scale or the scope of the election season. Hi, I'm Marika Moore, and if you want to get all up in my business, you should check out my new book, Unsolicited Marriage Advice, where I provide an analysis of the best marriage advice that I've received over the past 16 years or so. So head on over to Amazon and buy it now.
And I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. He's a white man. So that's going to quell some of the concerns that a lot of people had, because had she picked another woman or had she picked another minority, that would have just been curtains. You know what I mean? So I think that he definitely brings that stability to the ticket. And I think that he will murder the dude, JD Vance. Is it JD or JB Vance? JD Vance. They say he done changed his name several times. But I think he'll murder him when it comes time for them to sit across each other for a debate. And I think that Kamala is, and this is somewhat surprising, because in the past that's been her Achilles heel, because she's never not been accomplished, she's never not been articulate, she's never not been more than qualified. The problem has always been that she didn't run a good campaign. She didn't run a good campaign. She didn't manage a good campaign. She had the wrong people managing her campaign. And it seems now that they're making some good steps, good strategic decisions to make sure that they capitalize on the momentum, because a lot of this is dictated by money too. And that was one of the major things when she announced. They kept saying, all this money is coming in. You had the Black women that got together on the Zoom call. I think it was like 35,000, 40,000 women got together, and they raised like over $1 million. And the brothers came along. Then you had white women for Kamala that came along. They raised over $1 million. Then you had white men for Kamala that came along. they raised $1 million quick because they got the most wealth, right? So it looks like things are going in a good direction because money, unfortunately, these different PACs, these political action committees, the influence they have. Speaking of the influence, we're gonna go to your city, Arica. Wesley Bell, he primaried Cori Bush and got her on up out of there. So, she was one of what they call the squad. She wasn't the first one that was primaried. There was a brother, I think his name is Jamal Brown out of New York.
Bowman, I think. Jamal Bowman, maybe.
Jamal Bowman. He was primaried and basically lost. So, he won't be returning back to Congress. And a lot of that was predicated on their stance on Israel and its actions in Gaza. So AIPAC, they, I heard $9 million and I heard some people say like $19 million, but basically they pumped millions of dollars into St. Louis to basically steer that election, which I don't want to say this, but I have to say this. Brothers and sisters in St. Louis, that's sad, man. That's sad that y'all let some national people from outside of your community come and influence an election in that way. This isn't the first time St. Louis has allowed itself to be divided in terms of doing the right thing, in terms of putting people in the office. And I just wonder, when are the brothers and sisters in St. Louis going to wake up and say, no, we determine who's going to represent us? Now, am I saying Cori Bush was perfect? I've heard from both sides. Maybe she wasn't. There's some things that, mistakes that she may have made along the way. But for an outside political action committee to have that much influence and to be bold about it and say, hey, listen, being pro-Israel is good politics. Being pro-Israel is good policy. And basically saying, if you mess with us, we'll get you up out of there. It's a sad indictment of not only St. Louis, but I think the Black community as a whole, because we got that same type of power, but we never use it. What do you think, Arica?
Well, for one, I knew when I heard the judge who took my spot talking to other attorneys a couple of weeks ago about how they was throwing their money behind Wesley Bell that he was about to win. So the problem is that when they say, if you want to undermine a Black woman, send a Black man, and it keeps working out that way, it's very disappointing because he could have just said no. And I get that he was like, somebody's going to do it. It's going to be someone, right? Because once she took a stance against Israel, the Israel supporters was going to support somebody. So whoever that person is was probably going to win because that's where the money is. That's where they're going to throw their money. That's what's going to happen. Because again, St. Louis is a very easily controlled city via money. So for him to not take the opportunity when the opportunity was right there, I mean, if you're an opportunist, and I don't know him personally, I know people who do know him, but I don't know him personally. I was very happy when he won for prosecutor for St. Louis County. I mean, I don't necessarily think he's delivered on the promises that he ran on, because obviously we were all thinking that he was going to prosecute Darren Wilson for the Mike Brown case, and he didn't. And then when he didn't do that, to me, he wasn't who I thought he was. And so he did not have my support in this race. I feel like Cori Bush was, although imperfect as we all are, I think that she was for St. Louis. I think that her entire goal is the improvement of St. Louis. I think Wesley Bell has bigger aspirations, and St. Louis is a stepping stone to where he's going. And he's not going to think about us 2 times when we're in his rearview mirror, when he's on his pathway to his political aspirations. And I think the fact that he took that money from the people who are murdering people daily is indicative of what he will do with those political aspirations. But the problem is that we have a political system that is highly controlled by funding. And literally here in St. Louis, every day it was, Wesley's terrible, Cori's terrible, Wesley's terrible, Cori's terrible. But you know what I mean? He's got more funding behind him. And so when he's being touted by the powers that be, the people with money in St. Louis are going to be behind him. And I think that, I mean, so like when you have literally judges in open court talking about how they're supporting him and putting their flags in people's court who can't officially support him, but their wives can. So he's like, well, you know, he can. This judge,
Shout out to Clarence Thomas, right?
I was just about to say.
shout out to Clarence Thomas. But yeah, I gotta not push back on you, but I gotta push back on the city of St. Louis. Stevie Wonder could see that it wasn't necessarily about Corey's mistakes, right? People may have had a problem with what she didn't do or promises that she didn't fulfill, right? But when it was so obvious that this political action committee, I'm having trouble with that one tonight, but it was so obvious what was going on. What is making the people in St. Louis so unsavvy when it comes to politics? Is it that they are so easily bought? Is it that they're apathetic? Because I heard turnout wasn't that great, right? Which that's not uncommon for primaries. But what is it about the people in St. Louis that somebody can just come and manipulate an election in that way? You know, you would think that if she's for the people, she's for St. Louis, like you said. And some of the people I saw who were so disappointed in her losing and so loud with calling Bell a sellout, which by definition he is, because you got, you took the money. What is it that makes St. Louis so easily swayed in this way?
so it's not just St. Louis. You can't put St. Louis under the gun like that. You have to think about the way the political.
I mean, y'all, you
Well,
did it with Tashar and then you did it with Corey. So
well, let me ask you this too. If I'm not mistaken, in Missouri, they're not open primaries either. So you have to be a registered Democrat to vote. And nobody that I know registers as a Democrat to go. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So that's a big part of it as well. A lot of us love to tout that we're independent.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when it comes down to primaries and things like that, you don't really have a voice in who's going to be on the ballot for you.
So you get a ballot based on your representation, based on who you decide to be. So like
your party affiliation.
Yes. So then so there was a woman there voting when I was voting. She was like, I'm bipartisan or I'm nonpartisan. And he was like, you do realize you're only going to get to vote for two things. What's on the constitutional ballot? And she was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you only get to vote for two things. I had a bunch of friends running for judge that I really wanted to vote for. I couldn't vote for any of them because I have a Democratic ballot and there are Republicans. I don't get to make any decisions in the primaries about what the Republicans are doing. So there are Republicans.
That's not a bad thing if you think
it is, though. It is, because think about how much less stressful it would be if I could choose the least problematic person. So like, let's say there's 4 Democrats running and the Republicans only hate 2 of them. And so they can vote for some of them. And then let's say there's 4 Republicans running and then all the crazy people pick Trump and then the Democrats pick somebody else. And then so when you get to the election cycle, there aren't 2 people that you hate. There are 2 people that have been unanimously selected from the populace. That's not the worst thing. So, but for there to be like, my Democratic vote, I only get to vote for Democrats or I only get to vote for Republicans. The Republicans who see that Wesley Bell does not have the best interest of St. Louis in their interest don't get to vote.
So their money is their vote.
It is, but they don't get to vote. So
no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
don't get to vote.
So, but here's why I say it's not a bad thing, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong. If it's open, then what's to stop a Republican who's not going to vote for a Democrat when it comes to the final election? What's to stop them to say, listen, you know what? Let me come in and basically put my thumb on this primary and vote for somebody that I know I know my candidate that I'm going to vote for can beat more easy.
This is the thing. If
What's
we really,
that's what I'm saying. That's why
No. There is no perfect right. So what they do is they just give the money.
really want elections to be for the people and about the people, we have to reduce the dichotomy. Like it literally has to stop being the person that the most well-endowed liberals and the most well-endowed Republicans really want. If we just have people that have common interests on both sides running against each other, then when your person loses, you're not really devastated because it's not this end of the spectrum type deal. Like
I think that the days of moderate Republicans and moderate Democrats are long gone, and what killed it was MAGA.
no, but you allow him to kill it. When you keep it so that I can't vote for people. If I know somebody's a good judge, I practice law every single day. If I know these people are going to be a good judge and I can't vote for them, and I can't vote against the people that I know are going to be bad judges, when I have actual knowledge, I'm not basing this off of a whim or a wish. I have actual knowledge of people who I know will be good judges, and I cannot vote for them because I don't vote Republican. So my alternative is to pretend I'm Republican for the primary, to vote for the judges that I like, and then jump back over to my side to vote for the people. It's stupid. Like I should just be able to get a ballot and vote for all of the people.
Yeah.
It should just be all of the people. I
mean,
shouldn't have
a lot of things that
bipartisan Green Party libertarian, and then that will increase awareness of the other parties for one, and two, it will stop people from feeling like they don't have any like type of control over what's going to happen with their government, because it's like, well, if Democrats don't win, then I have no idea who's in there. No, you need to research Democrats and Republicans. You need to know all of the people running. Don't just research the people in the Democratic Party because you're Democratic. Don't just research the people in the Republican Party because you're Republican and you're automatically voting against them. No, this person could possibly be on your side and you don't know because you don't research it, because you know you can't vote for them. It has to be open. It should be open.
Well, we'll see. Maybe that's something that can be put on a referendum, and it's going to change. I don't think it will. But
not
I think
all states are like that, though.
Huh?
Not all states
are.
Not
all states like that, because what the scenario that I put out there definitely happens. You definitely have people from the Republican Party going to say, "I'm going to go and vote right here because I want to get that person out," and they're just that. They're just that, I want to say savvy, but they're just strategic with their vote, and they're involved in that way because honestly, a lot of people don't care. A lot of people are apathetic, especially when it comes to primary. And it goes back to what Lab was talking about, the fight to get that voter enthusiasm up. And I think that the Democrats are back on that lane. I think there was a lot of unreadiness when Joe was running. A lot of people was like, "Nah, man," and there was people who would die hard. It was like, "Look, I don't care if they roll him out, with an iron lung. I'm still gonna vote for him, right?" But there's other people like, "Nah, I just can't do that based on my conscience." I've seen people who were not feeling Joe. As soon as Kamala came, shout out to C, they was like, "Yeah, let's do this." You know what I'm saying? So she definitely did turn things around, and I hope that we can continue that motivation, because I'm sorry, y'all, I can't do another Ford Trump. I can't. And it's not just necessarily just Trump, but everything that comes along with it, with him, and the MAGA party. Definitely, we gotta get them out of there. We got to get them out of there, because
but this the crazy thing though, is if he loses, guess what? He's gonna run again.
He still has time.
He's gonna run again.
That's true.
So it's, I mean, they're gonna be there regardless. He's gonna be around. He's gonna run again. To him, that's the way, because he's worked so far to keep delaying these court cases and to keep pushing that off as far as he can, as long as he can. And
it's all about grifting his pocket. It's all about grifting.
yeah,
It's all
self-preservation.
about
Yeah.
patting his pockets and keeping himself out of jail.
Mhm.
He ain't really for this country.
No,
It's
no.
He's for self, but also them
He
doing
definitely ain't for black people. I don't care about it. You busters that was voting for him. You saw how he acted when he went to the NABJ conference. You know, his behavior. And that's what I was talking about in terms of his hate for black women. He's got a hate for women in general, but in particularly black women.
Yeah.
You know, and it
Unless
was
you work at Chick-fil-A.
right. That's sellout. But it's I think the NABJ needed to have him on because as journalists, they needed to be able to ask questions to make sure that the populace was informed and to give them an opportunity. I think that it backfired on him. I think that he thought maybe he could sway a few people to, because really all he has to do is this. If he doesn't sway them to vote for him, if he gets them to say, you know what, I'm not going to vote for Kamala, I'm not going to vote at all, then he's winning. Because like we said, they're outnumbered. They're never going to win a popular vote. They're not. They're going to have to be strategic and they're going to have to get, state by state, work the electoral college. And I think that the NABJ got a lot of flack for bringing him on, but I think it really backfired on him based on his behavior and how unhinged he was talking to those black women.
I think also he was always unhinged. The more opportunities he gets to speak, the more it just exposes people who are just supporting him just because they're racist and supporting him like you cannot support him because he's qualified. Obviously.
Exactly.
That's the thing though. That's the thing. They know he's not qualified.
Yeah.
People on the Democratic side are the only ones that say, you know what, Kamala doesn't do this, Kamala doesn't do that, Kamala doesn't do that. Joe's not qualified because he's old or because he's rambling or whatever. If Trump had been rambling like Joe, guess what? They wouldn't have gave a damn. Because they, like I said on the last show, they look at the bigger picture. They look at how can we preserve white supremacy. And if we get him in office, no matter how much of an imbecile he is, we're gonna get those Supreme Court seats. We're gonna get the Senate seats and the House seats that go along with it, and we can protect those policies that protect our whiteness and our ability to stay in power. And until we start looking at it that way, right, it's always going to be this problem. It's always going to be a problem for us.
Just not checkers.
Yeah. You know, the thing with that I think I've noticed with Trump too is it seems like since he knows, I'm not gonna say he knows he can do no wrong, but in the eyes of his party, he knows it doesn't matter what he does. So he's gotten a little more comfortable, and he has been off the rails. I mean, the true Trump is coming out. We already knew the true Trump, but he was kind of at sometimes was kind of trying to act like nah, that's not me, but it's coming out now.
And have you ever watched? It's to the point where I almost can't watch it anymore. But like,
yeah.
if you watch Live and Creation, he said, "Oh, that's a stupid question." He was like, "I'm the best president ever. I was always the best. Everybody says I'm the best. I'm the best." She's so stupid. She's silly. It's like, dude, you're not saying anything profound at all. You just repeat.
And you can't tell me a single policy
it's awful.
that he's ever rolled out that you say, okay, that he's come up with,
But
how many people have you argued with on the internet that talk the same way and have nothing to argue? He speaks to the internet population of idiots.
Man, yeah.
And there was this white guy that asked him a really, really good question. Because I think no matter Republican and Democrat, white or black, most of us around our age group are dealing with this. He said, "Hey man, what are you going to do basically to fix the economy, to curb this inflation?" He didn't put it in those words. He said, "Because I got grown kids and I can't get ahead because the rent's too high, groceries are high, and I'm constantly have to give them money. I can't get ahead." And I felt that. I felt that 1,000%. And for me, if Trump gets into office, it's going to get worse because there's a reason why all these big corporations, these big money corporations, they're throwing their money behind him because they know that greed will go unchecked. It'll stay unchecked. And when he posed that question to him, Trump started talking about, yeah, gas is this, that, and the other, and this is a terrible administration. It basically just did not answer the question for the man, and that was his opportunity to really try to sway some of those people and say, because when it comes down to it, a lot of times it's about dollars and cents. And right now, with this rent being like it is, mortgages being like this, people can't buy houses because the rates are so high, food is out of control. That was his opportunity to really do something, but he's so stupid. He wasn't able to do it.
So stupid. And he's not going to answer that question. He's not worried about getting moderates. He's dug in on his base, and that's all that matters. That's why he has rallies in Montana and states that he's going to win if he never sets foot there in the rest of history. But that's where his rallies are. That he wants to play up to his base. He really doesn't care about anyone else but people that love him.
Yeah. So I hope Kamala and to the window, to the walls can keep up this momentum. I definitely, normally on the show, I'm not as adamant about one side or the other. I'll say it again. I have criticized Kamala in the past, and a lot of things that I criticized her about. I really haven't changed my opinion, but I can look at the bigger picture, and I know it's a better situation for me, my community, and the future of my children. Fix your face, and I can say we're gonna go ahead and get this Black woman into office. Anything else I want to say about it?
You just lied to all these people because you've taking a strong stance on everything. What do you mean?
I'm talking about politically. We don't just go hard body for one candidate. We never done that.
Okay. Well,
now we talk about Monique. Yes, I have for Monique. Yes, I will for Mary J. Blige, but we ain't never.
He always got to bring up Monique, don't he? When nobody even talking about her.
Yeah, with my shirt, Monique. Go to the Instagram. Click link in our bio. You can buy that Monique was right t-shirt. Make sure you support the show.
To politics, otherwise you lying.
Make sure you support the show. So. Yeah, man. We're gonna keep talking about this. I know stuff's gonna come up in the news. Shout out to the athletes. The Olympics going on right now. I hate to date the show, but shout out to everybody. Shout out to Sha'Carri. She took second. Shout out to all the athletes, the Black athletes that represent this country. ADOS. We want to see y'all, bring home the gold. And that's it. Make sure you go to our website, www.manlistenshow.com. Listen to our past episodes. Click the link in our bio. On our Instagram, buy Rika's books, buy my book, buy a t-shirt, buy a hoodie like this. Just make sure you support the show. We'll catch you next time. Peace.